Sienna Zini was delightful. She was such a sweet person. Amazing to talk with. Not just because she's a romance author. I know y'all, I'm biased. And even though she also has mafia romance, bonus points, but because her message is about, wanting to reach people. I mean, that's the basis. And a little bit of a caveat as we go into the contest that she offers in this episode. So the end milestone, the expiration date for that contest is December 6th. So make sure you get in as soon as possible because that will wrap by December 6th. All right, y'all. I'm excited for you to hear from Sienna Zini. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the How to Write a Book podcast, the show that helps you plan, write, and publish your book, even if you're a beginner or just feel like one. Now, for your host, she's written over a dozen books and helps others bring their books to life. Here she is, Maciel.
Hey there, writers. Let's take a beat to talk about a special announcement. So November is your month of transformation. Get a 1-hour coaching session with me by choosing one of these 3 options, or all 3. Option 1, join our Patreon for $1, which will support the show. Option 2, book a $1 coaching session on coach.me. Option 3, leave an Apple Podcasts review. Send a screenshot to my email and get a coaching spot. You can do all 3 and get 3 hours of coaching with me. Find all the links in the show notes. Act fast. This offer is only valid for November to celebrate National Novel Writing Month. Thanks. Welcome back to the How to Write a Book podcast. I'm your host, Maciel Valenzuela Castañeda, and today we have prolific romance author Sienna Zini. How are you today, Sienna?
Fine, great. Hi everyone.
Hello. Where are you joining us today? Where are you at?
I am in Italy because I live in Italy, in the northeast of Italy, and I'm 47, and I wanted to write my whole life, and finally I'm here.
I love that. And that's amazing. I think that's beautiful. Your journey sounds gorgeous. And of course, we'll get into that. So a little bit about you. Let me see a little bit about what you've written, because you already have several books, underneath your belt. So Sienna, your passion lies in writing. There's no greater joy than inspiring love in the hearts of your readers through well-crafted narratives that immerse them in the depths of a captivating romance. Why do you write about love? Because you firmly believe it is the engine that moves the world. Love that. You also incorporate swoon-worthiness, suspense, and heartbreaking journeys with a little bit of spice. And you're already the author of Forever, Illogical, and Of Us, which pretty much on average have like 5 out of 5 stars. And you have upcoming Inked, which would be on pre-sale on October 31st and launches February 6th. Yeah.
Yes.
Congratulations. You've got several underneath your belt. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. I know I did a little bit, but where are you from? What was your journey like? How did you begin?
So I started to write novels and short stories since I was 7 years old, and I throw away each one of them. Because they never were enough, not good enough. At some point, life took over, and I started to work in a company and be too busy. Then I had my son that is now almost 18. And, I forget all about it until COVID came, and, life was on pause for a while, and one character came to me, and it's always like, for me, it starts always with the characters. And it's like meeting an old friend, and he tells me about his life in the time we haven't seen each other, and I started to write, not telling anyone what I was doing. At some point, my family asked me if I was going crazy, or we start typing wherever I could on the PC, on my phone, writing notes on paper. And I admitted I was writing a book, and this time I was happy with what I was doing. Then one friend that is my pillar read the book. She said, it's great, you have to publish it. And then it started. And now I am going to put on pre-sale my fourth book. And here I am.
Wow, that's amazing. And how long ago was your very first published book?
My very first is Of Us.
And it was Of Us. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
And it's the longest one I've written, because it seemed like their story never ended for me. So there was something not finished in their story. So after I published, I went back and added the last part, and I decided to put it in the book for everyone who already bought it, so they can read the end without having to buy something else or whatever. So it's very long. It's almost 110 keywords, so it's long. But yeah.
And you published that first one actually earlier this year, right?
The first one is July 22.
Oh, okay, last year. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first one, July 22, and then I started to write Forever, the most difficult, because it starts with two 18 years old. So going back and remembering how you feel when you first fall in love, and it was difficult, but I had to write this story, and I really feel it and love the characters.
Oh, I love that. So you mentioned, going back to your first book, Of Us, that the characters weren't done yet, So how did you know that? What were those feelings like when you realized that they weren't done, they needed more time?
Because they keep staying in my mind. It's, when I'm done with the book, I don't know, it's like the characters say bye. And this time they didn't, because the male main character has a very tough backstory of abuse as a child, not described on scene, but referred to. So he has problems connecting with people, and the only one he can connect to is the female main character, Sarah. And I needed to complete his arc, so he transitioned from a person who cannot connect with anyone, who is very loving, very caring, but is not able to connect with anyone, to someone that is able to connect with the people who love him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And did you feel like that was the same for your character, Sarah, or was she a little bit different?
She's different in a way and similar in another one. She has a less tough backstory, but she has she didn't believe in love because she wasn't loved as a kid by her mother, by both her parents. So each one of my characters has some bit of backstory, traumatic or not, tough or not, because I really believe what happens in your youth impacts highly how you connect with people, fans, lovers, whatever it is. So I like to tell the story when things go the right way. You finally find your way, and you finally find the people, because it's always a little family. So there is the male character and the female character, but there are their friends, and they play an important role in their lives always, because no one is a village, no one is a unit. Everyone needs a village to function, I think.
Yeah, I totally believe that. Like, there's so many ways that we impact each other, and I think that's really true for character arcs, because you couldn't just have for example, you couldn't just have like one person in a book just have like a single character arc. I mean, you could, but that's like a different genre. That's experimentation or something. Everyone needs to interact with other people, and those people need to affect others, whether, positively or negatively, create challenges, conflict, push each other. So that's great. So
and
when you,
sorry. And there is a little bit of mystery because one of my passion as a reader lies on reading mystery book and Agatha Christie and whatever. So there is a little bit of mystery in this one too. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that what happens throughout a lot of your books? Is there a mystery in every book?
No, not in each one, just in the first one of us, and of course in the last one going on pre-sale October 31 because it's inked because it's a mafia story, so of course it needs to be some mystery.
That's cool. A mafia romance. That's very I love it. I'll say I love it.
Yeah, and it's not your typical mafia romance because the main character is not the mafia boss. You expect to find he doesn't want in his family, and he wants to live his life, but he's drawn back because of Skylar, the woman. He likes, let's tell that for starters.
I love that. Okay, so you have a very, I think, it sounds like an organic process to writing. So can you walk me through it? What is your step-by-step process for writing your books? How do you begin?
So, as I said, it's always with the character and the story I imagine for him or her or both of them. It depends about the book. And so I start to write. I'm not a plotter, as one of my author friends said. I'm a weaver. So I start to write, then I go back and as I write, I start to understand better my character, and then I weave in more details, more, in depth of the character, and at some point I understand where the story is going. It is never where I thought it was going to go. Like this book, it's a duet because the character were not done, so they needed 2 books to tell me the story.
I love that.
And so I write and then I go back and revise and think about it and maybe plot it in my head for a couple of days, play the scene in my head. I need to visualize what I'm going to write. I need to feel like I'm seeing it to be able to deliver something that I hope the reader will be able to see as well. I'm not I don't like to describe too much, places or not lengthy description or of the room or whatever. But I give enough details so you can imagine where you are at and what is happening.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, there's weaving, like you said, that's a really good description for how you write. There's another similar to what you do. It's called Writing into the Dark, and it's a lot like what you do. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So you're familiar. So it's like almost the same thing. Or do you feel like there are differences?
No, I think it's, it fits.
Yeah. And I think that's so cool. So I actually tried Writing into the Dark for a little while, and it worked for a little bit, but then I started to I was like, I don't know where anyone's going. I'm panicking. I
panic a lot. I'm writing a new project right now, and I wrote the first half almost in 1 week because I needed to get out. And then I sent it to as I said, my best friend, my pillar, and she said, it's great, where is the other half? And now I'm panicking because the other half is not yet canceled.
That's funny. Where's the other half? That's so nice. And is your pillar, is she the writer friend that you were talking about, or is she different?
No, she is not a writer, but she has read everything. The first book, I think she read, 15 version because I was at the start. I didn't have an idea. Now, before sending her something, I edit it a bit. I try to make it, readable. At the start, I sent her so many versions of my book that I don't know how she didn't get confused, but she really believes in me and picks me up when the imposter syndrome comes out, and I say what I'm doing.
Oh,
who am I to publish a book?
Let's talk about that. So imposter syndrome, totally. All right. How often does that come up for you?
Being here after so many years, having done so many different jobs before, one for 13 years, but many other after, I knew what I was doing. I was competent and the go-to person for everyone to ask. Now I'm the newbie, so I love to read books. I read a lot, and every time I ask myself, I am up to standard to compare with these great authors. I don't know, Jodi Ellen Malpass is one of my favorite, but there are so many, and that's how it starts. I start to ask myself, I'm good enough, and it helped a lot in the process of asking for our readers for it. It helped a lot the fact that they were all enthusiastic about the book, and they love my characters, so it helps. When I start to panic, I read the reviews, the messages they sent me, and say, okay, maybe I'm not able to compare with the big authors, but at least I'm acceptable.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, of course. Definitely. So you're kind of like maybe accepting that you're on a journey of growth. You're not like there, like to, we always have those authors that were like, oh, I want to be like that person. But, you're telling yourself, I'm getting there. I'm growing to there. Is that kind of what you're doing to tackle it?
Yeah. And I don't like to tell myself I'm good, I'm not good. I let everyone else decide what they like, what they don't. I'm not everyone cup of tea. Is great, is fine, is perfect. I just like to connect with my readers, having the occasion to connect with my readers. Even when they don't like the book, it's fine. It's just meeting people, and I've met so many great people, and it's one of the best things of being an author is having the occasion to, share with them my passion and talk about it.
And I can tell because before this, you were saying that if you could, you would give your books away for free. You just want to connect with readers.
Yeah.
I think that's the basis of writing. It's like, we want to connect with readers. We want someone to be like, hey, I read your work. It really resonated with me, or it brought me joy. And then you're like, oh yes.
Absolutely. If money were needed to live, I would totally do that.
Yeah.
The best part is really hearing from readers and hearing their thoughts and how they feel about characters, because everyone is different, and that's a great thing. Everyone perceives one of my characters, maybe even the side ones they fall in love with. It's great.
Yeah. And you're finding all that out by exploring. You're not plotting it. You're actually finding out who's going to fall in love over here or happen over here. Yeah, that's beautiful. Can you tell me, so we've kind of tackled about imposter syndrome, like what you talk about is like how you face it. Now moving on, how is your editing and publishing process? Because I love that you seek like support from your friend, your pillar, which I think is so necessary in the process, just getting some sort of support system, which for me sounds almost like it's part of the editing or the beta reading stage. So can you tell me more about what is your editing and publishing process?
So as I said, I write, then I go back. So every chapter is already revised before the editing, the real editing thing happens. Is already revised so many times, and still some error is still there because they multiply when I sleep. And but then I send the book to as many people as I can that I trust will tell me the truth. So they will not tell me it's great, it's nice, just because they love me. They will tell me it's terrible, just throw it in the bin, or no, it's good, go on. And at that point, I read the whole thing, wait a little to see if something is still there, because as I said in the first book, the story was not over. So now I know that I need to wait 1-2 months to let it settle, to give it time to see if there is something else I want to say. Then I go back, read it again, and at that point the editing happens, and then I self-publish. I chosen the way of self-publishing, and for now my covers are done by my goddaughter, who is very talented, and so it's all in the family.
Oh, that's great. I love that. So when you give your work to lots of people and you want their honest opinion, like, how do you approach when someone comes back to you and they're like, oh, this didn't work, or I didn't really like this? Some people would let that bother them. They would be bogged down. How do you approach it?
Okay. Obviously, it bums me out because, it's part of me. So I read it and then pause, give it time. And then I go back and try to understand if it is because that particular part of the book wasn't their cup of tea, or because seriously there is a problem, and often seriously there is a problem. And I solve the problem and find a way to make it better. And when I go back to them, usually it's the problem is solved. Of course, in the start it bothers me because it's like a little bit of you. I get criticized, but it's fine. It's what I asked them to do, and the part I love the most is when I'm asked, tell me more about this character. I need to know more, so I know other readers may feel the same, and I try to find if I have more to tell. Sometimes not, sometimes yes.
How do you create that action step? So say someone says, oh, well, this character, they didn't stand out to me, or they were different in this way, I didn't get them. So then how do you turn that into an action item? Like, okay, I got this comment, so now I'm going to make the character save a cat, for example. How do you know what to do next?
It's again a game of waiting. I wait and I let it play in my mind and try to question the character and see where things are going wrong, where I didn't get him and usually I understand that I was not telling the right thing, the right side of the character I wanted to show, I wanted to put under the light.
Awesome. I would love to know, so you have characters, you have a book that's more like the romance when you're young, about 18 years old. You have this mafia romance and characters who are dealing with trauma. And exactly like you said, I believe that, things that happen to us when we're children can affect how we are as adults. Do you feel like you are also going through some self-therapy? Because that's something that I've noticed in writers, even in fiction, we're tackling things that we've encountered or that we've seen or processing it. Is that the same for you?
Absolutely. Writing is a big part of healing, even if I didn't have, big traumas or nothing terrible in my past. But anyway, I'm halfway through in my life, so some things happened, and each character has a little bit of me, and who knows me recognize that part, and how I'm trying to give my characters the strength to overcome something that maybe I wasn't able to overcome, or I'm still not able to overcome, but I will overcome in the future.
Oh, I love that. That is totally what I've done as well. Like sometimes I'll write something that is part of my history, but it turned out differently. And I wish I had more courage, or I wish I had done things differently. And so when I write about it, and I turn the ending, and it turns into something else. And it's not that I faced what actually happened. I somehow processed what I wanted versus what actually happened, and that clash weaves together. And at the end, you're like, oh, okay, all right. How do you face the emotion of that? So like, you're facing a character and you're like, oh no, they're going through something hard. How do you say, I'm going to keep going? How do you face that?
When I'm writing something really, heartbreaking, usually I'm not a good company, so everyone around me knows I have to be left alone. I close myself in my room and please don't come. Just my son has a free pass because, he's my company. Even if he's taller than me by far, but he's still my baby, so he has a pass, but everyone else has to stay out and let me process the moment. I'm a very emotional person. I cry watching movies, reading books, that I cry the most reading books, even when they are not crying kind of books sometimes. But it doesn't happen often. I try to be, an adult and deal with emotions.
Yeah, that happens to me too. Like sometimes I'll read a book. So two emotions probably happen. If I read like a series, right? And so we're invested in the characters. By the end of the series, I cry because I'm so sad to leave them. And I'm like, oh no. And then another journey that I'm often visiting is a really sad book. And once I finish the book, I literally have to go into my bed, pull the sheets over my head and just sob. Just so cry, and I'm talking ugly sobbing, from the core.
Just so cathartic.
It's all these emotions. And then my fiance, by now, he knows. He'll just kind of check on me, open the door a little bit, see if I'm okay, and he'll close the door.
Smart guy.
Yeah. He's like, okay, everything's normal.
For the first thing you said, I always read books I love more than once. Some books I've read, 4 or 5 times because I love the characters so much. They're my peanut blanket. So I go back to it, Charlie blanket. So I go back to it and as a comfort book.
Yeah, me too. I have a couple of books that I'll pick up, every couple of months just because I love the characters. I love how it makes me feel. And, I think that's really special for the author. When the author knows like one of their books is your favorite, that's oh, that's the best, Yeah,
absolutely. I really hope someone finds one of my book.
Yes. I'm cheering for you. So, that's so great. I mean, that's the process. I'm gonna have to go get another book to cry over in a bit, just so I can go into this process again. Tell us now that we're getting close to wrapping up our time, and I know we're gonna go into a special announcement, but before we do, I would love to know, what are you working on next?
So my next book is a dark romance. Actually, I have two projects that are dancing around. One is fantasy romance and one is dark romance. But probably the dark romance will come first because it's, pushing at me, and it's the one my fans said, where is the other half? So I feel kind of pressured to give her the second half. And it's again, I don't like my male characters. I like them morally gray, but still they're always caring persons. So it's not, the usual dark character where he's abusive and he's crazy, but he is not your typical. And this time, what came to me was the prologue of the book. So, like a flash, I thought the first time he meets her and what goes on in his mind, in his crazy mind. And that's how it started. And I was writing the fantasy one, but I had to stop and I had to go on with this one because it calls to me a lot. So
it's calling you.
It's calling me, and let's see what happens.
Awesome. Well, whenever you finish that, come on back to the show. That would be super great.
Absolutely. I would love to.
Awesome. All right. So, that's almost our time. So I know we're going to talk about a special announcement that you have for your books. Would you like to dive into that?
So, my special announcement is that we would like to do a giveaway of my 3 already published books. And so you will be given a coupon for one of them, so 3 winners and 3 possible winners. And the other announcement, we said it already, but I'll tell you again, Ink is coming out October 31 on pre-sale. February 6 will be published, and it's the first one in a duet. And the second one, I promise, will come very, very soon, in the first half of 2024. So I won't leave anyone hanging too long. And for how you can win, I give you the...
Yes. So for how you can win, then tag us, right? That's how we're going to go about this one. Tag us on Instagram, whether that's a snapshot of the podcast episode, maybe a cover of Sienna's profile. I think honestly it could be pretty open, but make sure you tag both me and Sienna on Instagram, and you will be qualified to get these coupons. And can you say your handle again for the audience?
Author Sienna Zini, all together, and you can find me. That there are the links in the comments in the
show notes. Yeah.
Show notes. And anyway, I'm on Linktree, Amazon, Goodreads, Facebook, Instagram. You can find me everywhere. I'm
awesome.
Also Sienna Zini.
Awesome. Okay, great. So then, just to reiterate, everyone, make sure you tag at Marcel Writes and at author Sienna Zini, or Sienna Zini author.
Author Sienna Zini.
Author Sienna Zini. Tag us. Maybe you want to tag the podcast, tag one of her books. Let us know, and then you'll be entered automatically to get one of these 3 coupons for her books that are available now and also coming out soon. So you're not going to have to wait too long. And if you have any questions, just let us know. Always feel free to tag us. And, of course, we'll put you in the right direction.
Absolutely. I'm always open. I'm always open to DMs, and I love to connect with people. So if you want to ask me something about my books, about my process, whatever, just pop in. I'll be there.
Yeah, and I can attest to that because I messaged you on Instagram, and and it's like just a random stranger, like, hey, do you want to be on the show? I saw your books, and you were very responsive, very lovely. So thank you for following up. So anyone who has questions about Sienna's books, about the contest, just want to know what's going to be on her plate next, please message her. She's super awesome. And definitely. And thank you from the How to Write a Book podcast. So we'll go ahead and wrap out this recording. Again, that's author Sienna Zini, author of 4 romance titles, including Of Us and Inked, which will be coming out soon. And thank you, Sienna, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the How to Write a Book podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you want to keep up with me and my work, check out the website blackheartedstudios.com. That's www.blackheartedstudios.com. And follow me on Instagram at Massiel Writes. That's at MASSIEL Writes. As a book coach and publisher, I'm passionate about helping aspiring authors bring their stories to life. So if you've been dreaming of writing a book and don't know where to start, head to my website and let's chat. You get a free 30 minutes on me. Thanks again for listening, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks.